And welcome to the episode of Deal Talk. I'm Deal Let's Talk. My guest of the evening is a podcaster. He's a host. He's an author. Uh, he's your ADHD guy. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome to Ron Souers. Welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, and you. Thank you for that introduction, and I'm honored and flattered that you'd see me as somebody your guests would want to hear.
Most definitely, man. It's an honor. First of all, it's an honor to have you. Uh, your slogan, your name, uh, brings so much enthusiasm, especially when everyone has it. You know,
Yeah,
everyone has it. Some more severe than others, right? Others, unfortunately, not diagnosed, but they do have it. You can see the signs when you're educated.
hmm
Uh, and I think it's important. You're an advocate for it. I think it's important to really do your best to be informative. Like me, my son is autistic, nonverbal, right? Me and my wife, man, we're like lions. We're advocating. We're always trying to
yeah,
do our best to educate the public, right? Uh, and do our best, man. What inspired you to start doing what you're doing?
yeah. It's really been like kind of a long story to get involved in like your ADHD guy. So I want to be that guy that you think of when you think about ADHD because that title hasn't been taken, right?
Hmm.
So like the journey that I took to get there was I started out with addiction, admitting that I was was an addict. I ended up on the streets, homeless, in DC on the mall, and I just had enough. Like it wasn't fun anymore for me. I knew I needed help. And that's what started my recovery process, which I'm like actually 6 years clean in a couple
Oh,
months.
congrats.
Thank you. And along that journey, so they talk about a lot of, some are sicker than others. So what I originally thought that meant was like, oh, some people are just more addicts, more crazy or whatever. It's actually means like some people actually have more than one diagnosis. Some people are addicts and they also have ADHD or they're addicts and they have autism. So it's like you sometimes need to go outside and seek outside help. The program's not is great and it's worked, to create a foundation, but I need like extra help. So what really made that apparent was like I was about to get fired from my job. Um, for the first time. This job, like I'm still working at now, fortunately, but like along the way, I was like breaking stuff, hurting myself,
Mhm.
and I was like scared I was gonna get fired. So I fortunately I had good friends. My sponsor was telling me like you need to slow down, maybe you need to look into that. So I ended up going to see my primary care, and I was just desperate. I was like, I can't slow down. I need help with this. And, I kind of had to walk her by the hand to the ADHD, diagnosis. So she was like, yeah, maybe you could check this list of, so I had to call all these, different, I didn't know which one to, the one was like a psychotherapist. I didn't know what that meant, but I ended up finding the therapist that I actually work with still today, that's helped me along the journey. So what ended up happening there was like I thought I was good. I thought I had like, graduated the program and what I've learned is like this doesn't go away. This it continues to show up. And if I don't like have the tools to manage it and build a lifestyle to manage it, it will always manage me. So like I almost got fired again, like from the same job. I was driving around on a fork truck, breaking stuff again. Like I smashed like one of those reinforcement poles, like ran straight
Wow.
into that. Like and it was scary. Like so the last event was like it was something small, but it was to the point where I was so stressed out and so worried about losing my job that, and I was seeing my therapist. So, because I went back and what I ended up having to do was step down from that position. And from that point, that was the best decision that I've ever made because I was able to look at other ways of making money because I wanted to get out because I'm working in a chemical plant and with ADHD and being distracted. So I was like, this isn't like where I want to stay for too much longer, because this is there's like really this is kind of dangerous for a normal person, I guess, if you could say that. But so I ended up, looking into different ways to make money and podcasting, came on my radar and I was like, really wanted to talk about mental health, but they talked about niching down and I was like, yeah, I could talk about ADHD at work because you don't really hear a lot about that, and I really would have liked to understand more of how to like manage that at work. And I know other people like what is ADHD? How does it show up? How can you advocate for it? How can talk about it with other people? And what are some things you can do to help make work like more manageable? So, yeah. And then getting into coaching was like more of a natural step because like I started talking about being more pro-social and doing that in my life and actually going up to people and talking to them about deep passions and struggles that they're going through. I've like talked to people about suicide that I've just met, stuff like told them that I'm depressed and had really deep conversations with people that I just met on the street. And that took a while to develop that ability, that courage to be able to do that. And now it's something that I look forward to. Like I need that in my routine because it's helped with my depression. It's helped open up doors to have conversations, to advocate for myself, I've had conversations with my plant manager and my production manager, the top dogs in the company, and telling them about concerns that I had about safety and mental health and, actually taking on a role of mental health on the mental health committee as the leader of that committee within the company that I'm working at. So it's like I've really done everything that I can um, to voice those concerns, and I would have never had the courage or felt empowered to do that. And I believe that most more people need to be able to learn this so that we can change that culture and change their perception on neurodivergent people because we're a gift. We're the cutting edge on like when it comes to the workforce.
Mm, that's amazing, man. Kudos to you for first of all for coming overcoming addiction, getting coming to acceptance, right? Which is the biggest
Yeah,
that's the start. That's the start and the ending. Because if you don't accept it, it could be your end, given the scenario you're in. But kudos to you, man.
thank
That
you.
takes a lot of courage just to talk to your bosses and take that initiative, because especially in plants, man, where like people are just about their business,
Yeah,
clock in, clock out, don't really see much more on how the employee could be effective.
yeah,
They just see as a number, do your job, clock in, clock out. Next day, that's it. But that took a lot of courage, man. Kudos to you.
thank you. Yeah, no, and I definitely, like, because I stood up for somebody else that was talking to me about being stressed out. They were by themselves, like, and I felt like it was like at first I brushed it off as like because I've been trying to coach him, on the low, like how to advocate for yourself and like this is what you need to do and you need to take breaks and Like it's not right what they're doing. He's all by himself doing a job that normally historically two people do, and he was on, doing that job for several months. So, my initial reaction was like, yeah, I mean, it sucks. But then I started thinking like, this is an opportunity for me to be able to challenge my own like pro-social communication skills. Like, so because I believe that it's like a video game in a way. It's like you win these conversations, you experiment with that, and then you start to have conversations on a higher level. Like I've had conversations with my, manager, talking about things that I didn't think were right, how she talked down to me, and that, in a way that was productive. It may not have turned out the way that I would have like loved to have it, but it was like I've got to be able to get into those conversations to learn how to get better with those conversations. If you
Yeah,
don't have
respect
those
is very important.
conversations, yeah, you can never like get to that next level. And it, like I said, it opens up doors like, and people are so afraid that they're going to get fired if they speak up about things or if they go to their, they've just got to put their emotions at the door, put their problems, leave them there. Like we're machines. We're only there to produce. And if we're not producing, then you might get fired. But it's like the companies don't understand is like we run, like without us, your company doesn't make anything, but the system's so set up that it's isolated events. And when it's isolated events, you can't really make a change because there's so many things. The system, and I'm not saying that these people are bad people. It's the system that's bad. They're just like you look at most people and they just want to conform. They don't want to challenge anything. They don't want to take risks, especially when they're higher up. They may not agree with it, but they're not willing to put their neck on the line to make a change. But when you have more people like that feel empowered to speak up, then those systems they start to break. And they're either outdated and need to be completely replaced or at least severely updated.
I agree. Uh, you have said a lot, which I agree with all. The system is
Yeah.
the system is made to divide, not unite.
Hmm.
And that's the concept just throughout the world. Fear, worriness. That's what essentially divide us from one another.
Yeah.
And some people might not speak up because they're scared, because that's all they know, because they don't have the skill set, or they don't have the energy to learn a new skill set, or they don't have the education, or they don't have the knowledge. But it's always going to be a risk.
Yeah.
It's always going to be an issue when you're trying to step up for yourself, because I think not just in jobs, but in the world, we forgot respect. Uh,
Yeah.
and that despite what position you are, the only difference is the zeros on your check. And
Yeah.
despite these people have a say, like despite like in any company, it's like in any company you're in, they just like to fire you.
Hmm.
Unless they have reasonable cause to let you go, they hate to fire people
Yeah.
because that's a headache. It's like an invisible court. And where they go in an investigation, they go all through all these shits, and you're applying for unemployment, all that shit. It's a headache, and
Yeah.
companies, doesn't matter how big you are, nobody likes that because it opens a can of worms.
Yeah.
You feel me?
No,
But
definitely.
so like You have to speak up for yourself. You have there's a thing called self-respect. If you don't start respecting yourself, then who will? You have to start
Yeah.
giving you the standard and value, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of people might not understand that, but it's not for them to understand. It's to for them to oblige and respect you and
Yeah.
respect your, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like it starts with yourself. And you know, most people don't know that a lot of companies you can speak up and they're not going to do anything about it. They're just they they just aren't likely to make a change, but like enough people speak up, then you can actually make that change. But it's so much deeper than that. It goes to like this level of, it seems like nobody wants to have a conversation about feelings because they don't know how to,
You
and
know,
it's like,
it's not,
yeah,
I'll tell you, it's not about the feeling. It's about what the feeling takes you to. You
yeah,
feel me? Because you could be feeling that way, right? You have a valid feeling, and if you don't bring up valid, factual why you feel that way, people are just rambling.
yeah,
And when you're stuck in these companies, they don't fuck about that. So this is more like you have to advocate. You got to know. You have to pinpoint, and once you have those pinpoint, you pin them in the corner
yeah,
because that means they can't avoid that conversation.
yeah. No, it's definitely like, and being able to navigate those feelings and understand those feelings and like understand how to respond with those feelings in a healthy way is where school systems failed to teach us, and it's these, like, whenever they do an investigation, or they want to write you up, there has to be an investigation usually, to satisfy whatever HR or law, OSHA law that
Hmm.
they have to follow. A lot of times that investigation doesn't actually investigate the person that did it. They don't come and question them like, what were you feeling? What was going on? What happened before you came into work? Those type of things, which would have, you're not actually getting to the root cause of the problem. So you might want to, like, I see a lot of especially in my companies, like the company that I work for, they're just creating more systems to like, you can't system out behavior. Like, it's just impossible. Like, you can create all these systems and they'll still fail. Like, when you start to look at the behavior, and just, it's not that difficult. It's really just, starting to ask and dig deeper. How is your day? Like, and if somebody says, "Oh, well, I've had better days," instead of joking and laughing it off, be like, "Well, why is that?" They're opening up a doorway for you to know them deeper. And a lot of times, they'll say, "Oh, we've got an open door policy. You can always come in and say whatever." And you wonder why people aren't coming in there, is because they actually don't feel like they trust that. They don't feel comfortable enough around you to be able to say something because of whatever behavior that you've shown. So, but you can always change that narrative by asking those questions, by getting to know people and actually listening and making those changes.
Yeah, 100%, one hundred
But
percent.
but companies don't want to do that because they don't see the value. But when you start to show them the numbers that like some of the best companies in the world have, they care about their employees, they value their opinion, they make them feel like they're a part of the company and that their opinion matters, and they get to know them on a deeper level, and they want to come into work. They're happier employees, and a happier employee is a productive employee. And it comes back to well-being, mental health, well-being.
Yeah, but that's just, it- that's just they're taking advantage of you, at the end of the day. You're
Yeah.
there to do a job, like you see these corporate companies that do these corporate events and bring in speakers or whatever to inspire them,
Hmm.
to do what? Be more happy, more proactive, benefit them. At the end of the day, they cut you off, that's it.
Yeah.
So it's like you said, you gotta speak up and try to make a change. But when you live in a world that, the dollar is more powerful than any opinion.
Yeah.
It's like if with a dollar I could create an opinion, why do I need yours? You feel me? If with a
Mhm.
dollar I could create a narrative, why do I need yours?
Yeah.
You
Well, it's
know?
all back to like speaking their language.
Yeah.
Like if you look at turnover, right?
Hmm.
And that's actually cost like I forget the exact numbers, but it's like one and a half that like companies spend billions of dollars a year retraining people to do the same job.
Hmm.
That's a major business expense. So that's one thing that you get to retain people a lot more, just by talking to them about what's going on because everyone has emotions. So everyone has trauma. Everyone has something that's going on in their life, especially in today's day and age is like, with the grind culture and all those things that are overstimulating. It's incredibly um back backwards just the way that it goes. That they treat these people all that really needs to happen is just seeing people as fellow human beings.
Yeah, but it's up to you, honestly. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
you can you can march in the street, you can yell, you can kick, but all they see you is whining. And I know this for experience, you
Hmm.
know? So the best thing you can do is say fuck it and live through example.
Yeah.
Live it. They're gonna be watching, live it. Next thing you know, someone's gonna approach you and ask you a question about something you're doing. And you keep doing it. And somebody else. And that person said, no, I talked to him. You need to go talk to this guy. He knows his stuff. And you keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Do it so much that, they can't deny your aura.
Yeah.
They can't deny what you put out there. They can't deny or they can't unsee what you've been doing all this time. And
Hmm.
that's the most effective way to implement change.
Yeah.
They
It's
see
the long
you,
game.
yeah, they see you speaking up for yourself. They see you having this conversation, and it's you just being you. It's
Yeah.
not you trying to, because a lot of people, despite you try to give them enlightenment, and if not, they're not feeling that. Like if they're not in the mood for that, they're gonna just see you as somebody who's trying to hassle them or
Yeah.
trying to force something. So you just gotta let it be.
Yeah.
You can't
Well,
speak about it. You just gotta be about it. You feel me?
yeah, and it has to come from a way like I always try to put it in terms of like I'm not here to complain. Like
Yeah.
this isn't me complaining. This is me sh showcasing concern not only for myself from my experience, but for the other people that I've witnessed them going through this.
Yeah.
And like it's about standing up and advocating. And honestly, like there's a part of me that wishes they would get rid of me because like I would go on unemployment and I'd be able to really just focus on what I'm actually trying to do. But
Hmm.
there's another part of me that really believes that my work there isn't done. Like, and I'm not talking about like the work that they hired me to do. I'm talking about the work that I see myself because another part of what I've been doing at my job is called job crafting. So I do things at my job that I wasn't hired for, which is like part of it is that mental health leader of that committee. And the other part is like I want to be compassionate and understanding to everyone that I talk to on my job, whether they need help, whether they want to have a conversation or not. Like I have had numerous conversations with people and about ADHD, about, you know, them feeling stressed and they need a lot of places need and people at these places need somewhere that they can blow off steam. Because if they can't do that, with somebody that's just going to listen, it's going to keep building up and I don't want to see them that way. And it continues to help me, get better at like seeing these people as like, okay, they just need a little patience and understanding. Even seeing my bosses that way, like I don't see them as the enemy. I just see, like I said, the system. Like they're just doing the best they can within that. They probably got a lot of pressure on them that they can't talk about. And I always open the door for even like that one manager that I was talking about that
Mm-hmm.
talked down to me. Like I even say to her, like, if you ever need to talk about whatever you're going through, because I understand you don't have a lot of places and you're under some stress. Like I get it. Me and her have a good relationship, but it took like me standing up for my boundaries getting crossed, and you and everybody has the right to do that, but it has to come in the right way because it'll come out some way. Like what I do is like I talk about me first. I put the honest on me. Like I felt overwhelmed or I didn't feel respected when you talked this way. I know you probably didn't mean to do that, but if you want to help me be productive, like this is like I can't continue to allow you to talk to me that way. You got to help me. So it creates like this whole dynamic of, okay, I'm opening up and pointing this out, but I'm also creating a collaboration. And I'm not pointing the finger at you because I'm like giving you that out. Like, oh, I know you probably didn't mean to do that. Because some people just don't know that they're being disrespectful or they don't know or they don't know how you're interpreting their leadership style. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, it does make sense. That's a very good observation. But like you said, it's a conversation that needs to needs to uh needs to be had. So what do you do?
Yeah.
Because that's work. I can see like you know you try to help everybody during company time. Like what do you do outside and where to try to help yourself and spread the word?
So yeah, what I'd have a coaching like I coach guys that are 40 and over that have struggles with ADHD, addiction, and isolation. So I teach them how to be more pro-social to overcome that isolation by deepening their relationships, building and reclaiming that confidence and finally feeling seen and supported. Because it's about unlocking the version of you that's always been there. Because like from my perspective, like and from my journey, I'm a pretty introverted guy. Like I don't like, I thought at one point that I didn't need to have conversation. I didn't need to be social. Like, but I've cultivated that. It was like one of these podcasts. It was called, I don't know if you heard the Happiness Lab, but
No, no,
yeah, one of the episodes on there talked about how to be happier, like more social as an introvert and how that can make you happy. So like I was going through some changes at that point and I was like, yeah, I want to try that out. And part of it was talking about going deeper, quicker, because all the other social books that I've read was like you've got to wait and build rapport and do all this stuff to go, to actually go deep. That's not really true. Like it really depends on the context. Like I would say maybe with a family member, you might not have that, ability, but like anyone, pretty much anyone on the streets that's willing to have a conversation, on a deeper level, you can go right into it. You can go right into their passions. You can go right into those struggles. So that's what I like to teach guys to do because like I said, that opens up so many doors.
Dude, you're a better person than me because I'm an introvert. And I like going doing things that make me happy. And in that
Yeah.
transition of doing that, I meet a couple of cool people that like the same, hey, that's what's up, you know? Podcast. I wanted to talk different types of people about different types of things.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to create it a niche. I just, well, like I'm a journalist. I just wanted to learn some stuff.
Yeah.
And, hopefully if they have a business, get it out there. Because anything you do is a business. It
Mm.
doesn't necessarily have to mean like a lot of people prefer business to like banking or something with money, but there's all forms of business. There's art of business. What you're doing can be a business. Advocating is a business.
Yeah.
So like I just go and do what intrigues me. And in the long run I get to meet some cool people, that's a plus. Like
Yeah.
I don't, a lot of individuals are like they're waiting for like waiting it's like waiting for people to be their friend, right?
Mm.
Or like they don't fit in. And for me as an introvert, I don't, I don't give a fuck. I don't want to fit in. I want to stand out. I want my happiness to depend off me
Yeah.
rather than somebody else. If you can make me happy, that's just adding on. That's just an add-on, baby. That's a plus. But and sometimes as an introvert, it sucks. It's lonely. But as you get older, you start enjoying the silence versus the quiet.
Yeah.
Silence is only what you wish to hear, and quietness is just white noise around you.
Yeah.
It's a difference. But then you become so courageous, right? You become so passionate about these things you want to learn because you're excited.
Yeah.
You're curious. Like it's not what you learn, it's the question that excites you. How can this work? I want to go here. How would that be? And that would make you happy. And being that energy that you're presenting, like you just showing some self-respect, standing up for yourself at your job, like that sticks out to people because not everyone tends to do that. And then
Yeah.
people learn how to do that. And then that's second lesson. You can do that, but there's the way how to do it. It's always a better way.
Yeah.
There's a humble way rather than an egotistic way.
Yeah. No, and that's part of like the issue is like, getting people that are introverted like to
Hmm.
actually see the value in being social, and and that's something that is personal and I respect that, but it's also like over here, like I'm coming from that. And you
Yeah.
talked about that loneliness.
Hmm.
That's what I felt. And I thought it was, you know, like, and there was like this depression there,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I thought it was because like I didn't have a romantic partner. But when I started going out more and feeling more empowered about talking to people
Hmm.
and like I understood that it wasn't that romantic lack of that was still
Yeah.
there. There's still kind of a loneliness there, but it was I felt like I was trapped in a cage that
Hmm.
I couldn't, like, I was just stuck with only the people that I knew that I couldn't go deep with very often, as deep as I would like to when talking about
Yeah.
ADHD and
Do,
other
do you know
things.
why though? Do you know why you felt that way?
Why?
No, no, I'm asking you. I know why, but do you know why? I want to get to that climax point. Did
Yeah,
you figure
because
out
like
why?
because like yeah, because I wasn't able to connect with whoever I would like to. My circle was so limited. That's why.
But you know, you know the reason why is because you outgrew them.
Yeah.
You put
Hmm.
like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta understand like when you were an addict, right? You came to accepting
yeah,
like just like the power of just accepting that and there.
yeah. Now,
It it
people
it, it
overlook the
yeah,
importance of that. That like
yeah,
they think acceptance is just so easy when
no,
it's like it goes deeper, and it's the key to everything.
yeah, it's game time.
Yeah,
And once you took that step, you did, you know, if you're a one, you did a fucking five leap, you know, forward.
yeah,
And you know, the thing with that is that it's not that you're depressed, it becomes depressed, it becomes sad, it's because you outgrew your surroundings.
hmm,
You're the flower that grew in a pot and now it needs soil. And not a bigger pot. No, it needs to go in the ground
hmm,
where there's space, where there's other people that where you can envision, oh man, I could grow, there's a possibility I could grow up like this tree.
yeah, yeah,
Like a lot of people have that issue where like, dude, you grew out of your surroundings. The minimal conversation is not the same. You want to go deep, and not everyone is willing to go that deep because they're scared.
yeah,
Because once you come to acceptance, the what comes next is accountability.
yeah, and
When it
the
comes next
change.
is responsibility.
Yeah,
When it comes next is now you have to walk a certain way because it's all about credibility.
yeah,
You feel me?
yeah. No,
And
that's deep.
when people start seeing you being you, either two things gonna happen. It's like a magnet. They're gonna come together, and those are gonna come away
Yeah,
because they don't like you. And then you know you have these snotty people. Oh, you think you're better than me. You do all this shit. That's not the reality. Is that you became comfortable for who you are. You understood. You understood that you at one point you felt like you were wrong, but you're no longer there. It's like when people preach about God and the cross. If he resurrected, I'm sorry, he's no longer there.
yeah,
He's no longer on that cross. And they keep reminding you of your cross. That he
yeah,
died for a penance, he rose, he's out.
yeah,
You know, not to say
yeah.
you
They're
got
still
anything,
on
but
that
like you,
cross.
yeah, not to say I don't want to compare to God enough like that, but like you, that was your crossroad. You were on that cross and you
Yeah,
rose and you kept it moving. You accepted it. You're no longer that place. And people sometimes want to remember you at that place because they could maybe think that was a good time for them.
yeah,
But just because it was a good time for them doesn't mean it was a good time for you.
yeah.
And you're not
No,
there, bro. You're that rose growing into a fucking tree.
I really appreciate that. Thank you for putting that in such a poetic term. Like,
I
yeah,
try.
that makes a lot of
I try.
sense.
You know.
That
But
makes a
yeah,
lot
it's
of
true.
sense.
You're not there.
But I
And you
also
know,
try
it's
to like, and it's like you said, these people think that I think I'm better than them, and that's far the furthest thing from the truth. Like, I
yeah.
always try my best to still connect with those people, on any level, but I'm not going to go out of
Hmm.
my way to just like keep calling and keep, why aren't you hanging out? Like, I get it. Like, you moved on, I moved on. Like, we went our separate ways. Like, I'm about, those bigger, like walking through those other doors that are going to open up, and I just wish that they would see it that way. But, unfortunately, I can only control my
Yeah.
destiny, my
Yeah.
choices.
Dude, you can only provide them the starting point, but they have to do the work,
Yeah,
you know, because if not, you're the one who's carrying that weight. And it sounds harsh, but that's what it is. Like
yeah,
if you took yourself from a dark place out of there and you know, it's like being in a dark hole, you know, you climb yourself out of there and you did it on your own. You know, you
yeah,
can only say, hey, I did it. and give your testimony. And if they're going through here, there's a pamphlet. You want to talk, we talk about it. But if they're not willing to receive that, because hearing and listening are two different things.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like that time, it becomes wasted time because you can take that time help somebody else, and then like somebody else who needs that help, who really needs somebody like you to like, especially parents,
Yeah.
that are uneducated. And I can imagine you have experience, so you just walk in, you can see this guy might have it.
Yeah.
A lot of parents don't have that and don't understand the kids why they're doing this and this. You could just be positive minded, be like, hey, maybe he has this and this. Have you ever checked them out? Or these
Yeah.
are the signs. I know because I got it too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not a big deal. Yeah, it's definitely like huge, with and I totally spaced on like what I was about to say because my ADHD. Just blame it on the ADHD, right?
Yeah, whatever works. you know.
No, but I
So
really appreciate that, man. And this conversation just definitely went to a place where, it opened up, you know, my eyes to certain things, um, that I didn't normally see about myself. And,
yeah. I
it's
only,
about growing.
yeah, I've been there. I've been there. Last year for me was a difficult year for me, you know, and one of the reasons was it because I wasn't myself.
Yeah.
Being married, having kids, you always have to have this positive, perspective, being a role model, but builds up. You're only human.
Yeah, I
You,
know.
you, you, you know,
And that kind of gives your kids the wrong impression because it's like
yeah.
you need to be able to be vulnerable in those situations, not just for yourself, but for them. Because
Hmm.
like whenever you keep brushing stuff off and making it look like that's what they're going to try to do and implicate, and that just adds more trauma. We need to be hugged. We need to be held. We need to let these emotions go. And we need to talk about those things with other people. And that's part of the benefit of like why I've told dudes that my boss that I feel depressed or I feel sad or like whatever I'm going through because like and that bond between me and him has gotten stronger. He's like, always talking about how like he comes to me, like he's about to get promoted and he came to me because he wanted to get my perspective on it. He's going to make the change. Like I know he's going to make the choice no matter what I say. But the fact I'm flattered that he sees me in that light. And the thing is, like, me and him have not always been that way. I used to see him as somebody I didn't like, like I was talking about, an obstacle in the way of getting in a task that I wanted to do. And like to see that transformation in myself and then for him to see those things, because like we often don't see ourselves the way other people see us. So that's why it's super important to have that connection with these other people because you don't have to believe that what they're saying is true. All
Yeah.
you got to do is believe that they see that in you. And that's where the belief can start, because we're all trying to be like, oh, we can't be so egotistical. You can't have a big head and start talking about like how good you are. But there are good things about you that need to be cultivated. And ego is really just how you interact with the world. Like, and it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It just can be distorted.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think people want that just want to be high and mighty sometimes
Yeah, the
for no
power. They,
reason.
they get
They
drunk on that
just
power, man.
they just want to be seen,
Yeah.
because they don't see themselves. Like once you see yourself, like, you know, nothing really else matters. That's why,
Yeah.
like, self love is really, really important because if you love yourself, you're not gonna put yourself in some bullshit. You know?
Or it's gonna happen very, 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 very rarely.
Yeah.
And even if
But
you do get into it, it's still gonna be like, all right, I
but you know
still
what
love
to take.
myself.
Yeah, you know what to take. You know that like loving yourself is not compromising. Just know that it's like you know what you got to do. Some days are gonna be better than the other.
Yeah,
Today's sunny, so tomorrow's gonna be a little gray. So other days gonna be shiny and cloudy. The other day's gonna be rainy.
yeah,
You love yourself that you're gonna love yourself no matter what.
yeah,
And once you understand that, like some days are gonna be easy, others gonna be tough, but that's life. You're gonna be
yeah,
okay. Sometimes you gotta eat shit. Sometimes you don't. Not today. And sometimes they're gonna say shit that's not even a big deal. It's not,
yeah.
people like to make it a big deal. It's like, relax, bro. The shit's red. you know?
No, exactly. And it's okay. Like for me, I can feel sad. I can feel depressed and still be okay. Like in my
Yeah,
head, like I'm not trying to change anything. I'm like, it's just, I'm glad I get to feel these emotions because
you're
I've
human.
spent most of my life pushing them down or distracting myself
Yeah,
from the reality that was killing me.
yeah. You're feeling, you're not tormented.
Yeah,
You feel me? Like before tormented, it's keeping you, it's holding you.
yeah,
It's torturing you. You're tormented by it, but now you feel it. You get to feel that. And that's okay.
yeah. That's a gift, and we it's like men especially don't talk about it enough, and that can lead to suicide.
Yeah,
So.
yeah,
It's huge because like when you keep bottling up these emotions and pushing them down, they're gonna come out. It's just gonna life happens, and sometimes it's just like it may not seem that big to somebody else, but when you feel like you're holding the weight of the world, and then some little pebble drops on you,
yeah,
you reach your breaking point, and
yeah,
and they could have said something.
yeah. It's very scary to be if you don't know how to manage it, you know, or you don't have a certain level of life experience. It gets very scary to
Yeah,
manage that, you know, because one of the most powerful things we have is our thoughts. It's our brain,
yeah.
and sometimes things just pop in there.
Oh yeah.
You
Well,
feel
our
me?
brain's
Like,
meant to like problem solve.
yeah,
So it's like a lot of the problem solving that we did, or I know I've done, has been very distorted, and it was because like I wanted to hide something because my brain was trying to get me from not feeling that pain again. So it's like I've got to unlearn a lot of these things that my brain is just triggered to do because it's been doing it for so long.
yeah,
So, and plus, your brain never stops problem solving, even when you're
yeah,
sleeping.
yeah,
It just does a different type of problem solving from a different part of your brain.
yeah. And even through pain, that's a gift too, because you learn so much.
Oh, yeah.
When you fail, people say that's painful,
Yeah.
but through failure, that's like nobody ever learned anything through winning,
Yeah.
you
You look
know?
at the most successful people and they're all failures. They've all failed, just not as much as they succeeded.
Yeah.
And I always talk about this. I don't know if people, but they're probably like, he just says this shit. But like, I always say like my biggest learning experience have been my mistakes and allowing myself to make those mistakes, and not trying to be perfect is like such a liberating thing. Like I'm not like I'll make a podcast and yeah, I want it to make it edit it the best way I can and have it like but there's a certain point where I'm just like fuck it. Like it's going
Yeah.
out. It's going
Yep.
out and it's not gonna be it's this is where it's at and I don't care. Like You know, maybe if they
Yeah,
remaster and do my greatest hits like in 10 years, they can deal with that, but I'm done with it.
yeah. But that's all it takes. You know, I guess that's the most that's the stigma about life that everybody wants things to be perfect when it's not.
Yeah. Or they want the easy, quick way out. There's not one.
How
Or
long
it's rare.
how long have you been doing the podcast?
Well, I've been, it's not very long since December. So,
Last year. So you're
yeah,
about to hit a year, right?
yeah.
I'm about to make 5 years in January 5th.
That's
Five
amazing, man.
years. Okay. 5 years, long
Congratulations, man.
financial struggles. 5 years. Okay. And
Yeah,
if
you look
I
at these guys, like I love how you're saying that because when I'm coming in there, I'm like, well, if you have a podcast that's successful, like you don't struggle.
yeah, but that's also BS because the people who are succeeding at podcasts, right, already had money,
Yeah. Or
right?
they had a backer.
Yeah, they already had money. They already established themselves. They already had an audience.
Yeah.
Like, especially like all social media platforms, they're not media platforms anymore. They're advertisement. Their job is advertisement
Yeah.
because despite of you, they want to tell you about algorithm. You got to pump money into that. You want
Yeah.
your shit to get seen. You want your shit to get listened to. You gotta put pump advertisement.
Yeah. You
That's
gotta
it.
pay for that shit.
There's no such thing as organic anymore or you know inspirational splur some shit. You gotta put money. All companies became advertisement companies.
Hmm.
That's all it
Yeah, I
is.
know. It's
And the
all
only thing, yeah, the only thing they're paying for that you're paying for is for you can advertise on their platform because most of everyone is doing their own graphic designing or whatever and advertising their stuff.
yeah.
So you just gotta, you keep pushing until you see clear waters because right now we're in muddy waters. Everybody's doing the same shit. It's your passion, your tenacity. It's what you truly believe in. You fucking believe you can do this and you can help people. You don't need money. You just keep fucking, keep pushing forward. And one day, one
Yeah.
time, one share, you come afloat.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's about playing the long game. And if you're going to getting into any of this self-help on advocating for the money, that is the wrong reason.
Hmm.
Like it needs to come from like the most passionate, successful people did it because they wanted to help other people because they came from the same struggle. Like I always say, experience trumps expertise anytime.
Hmm.
You're book smart, these doctors, they don't know what ADHD really is, but you ask
Dude, they
somebody
give
with
you a pamphlet.
ADHD, yeah,
They give you a pamphlet. That's all they
yeah,
do. Figure it out.
yeah, or fucking some drugs. Like
Yeah.
which is I'm not saying medication doesn't help certain people, but
Hmm.
it shouldn't be the end game. Maybe
Yeah.
certain there's a rare limited amount like percentage that actually do need medication um
Yeah.
for the rest of their life. But that is so rare and the way that these companies are taking advantage of the feelings of mothers and then the children on top of it is outright criminal.
Hmm. That's all you got to fight. And
Yeah,
then when you
I'm
learn how to
going
fight,
after them all.
here's the thing with that, bro. Here's the thing that they tell people all the time because sometimes you have to sit and watch. You can't always sit and give your 2 senses. You got to just sit and watch
Yeah,
and see how it falls, right? Not everything is meant to go on a boycott. Like, you already know just working at a company, the system is rigged against you.
yeah.
You got to understand there's people that with a higher power, higher level, they're not completely stupid that would put a pawn to trigger you.
Hmm.
to so you can miss a step and they can win it in the long run. It's not
Yeah.
just knowing how to fight. It's not just fighting. It's slowly understanding how to fight.
Yeah, you got to understand how the game is rigged to
The
a
paper
degree,
trail. Hmm
and that it is rigged. They're like they have these things out there, but they're not real.
hmm
They're not like something that you got to look at the action. Like, are they actually doing what they're
hmm
saying? And if they're not doing that, then you got to understand, like, okay, this is a game. We can play a game. There's a game for the other side. You just got to figure that out. And, you need people in your dugout,
hmm
so that like you're not alone because you're not going to win that fight alone. There's
Yeah.
just no way.
Yeah.
Even when you got people with you. You look at what happened to Martin Luther King. Like, not to take it all the way there, but that's a
hmm
great example of like they can get
hmm
to you.
Yeah.
If they
So
see you as a threat,
yeah,
and he
you
was surrounded
gotta,
by lots of people.
yeah, you can't. It's a game. At the end of it, it's a game. You can't. You have to do your best not to be offended, but play it. Or
Yeah.
smart them. Like HDAD, right? Like it's your attention span, right? It's
Hmm.
everywhere, right? If you could take that, right, and create a skill, and where now you can able to grasp and digest multiple forms of information
Yeah.
regular than the regular person, right? And I'm just hypothetically speaking, right? Won't that make you useful and dangerous?
Yeah. Oh,
Won't
when they
won't
come
that
after you, you're a
yeah
threat.
yeah won't that make you superhuman?
Yeah.
Won't that make you with superpowers?
Oh, yeah.
You feel me? So like it's all about how you see things, perspective, and how do you utilize these gifts, and how you fight the game. Because you're always gonna find somebody that are more smart or more big or more BS, but like this no, for me it's like a cheat code.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
already telling you, they're already telling the system it's against you. They're already telling there's people more smarter than you, more money than you. It's a cheat code. Okay, figure it out and watch you win.
Yeah. You look at Michael Jordan, who has ADHD. Like, that was cheating. Like, he can see
Yeah,
things faster, and like you wonder why he's so good. So was Magic Johnson. Like,
yeah,
and the one thing I have against that is like you have a platform to talk about ADHD, your ADHD, and make all these people feel like they can do it too that have ADHD, and you're just silent. That is the biggest injustice, is apathy and silence. So it's
yeah.
like that's why I'm like it's great that you did all the things that you did, but like you have a platform to talk about things and prove that myth wrong that if you have ADHD, you're broken. There's so many people that are living their life feeling like they can't, they'll never amount to anything because their whole life is evidence of that.
hmm
But if you had somebody else that had the same thing, imagine
hmm
how much life that can give to you.
Yeah. And it's all about testimonies. You got
Yeah.
to do the walk so they can see. You got to do
Yeah.
the walk, talk to them so they can see because, you talking about it like somebody like fame, like to say Michael Jordan, HCAD, you know, they're going to take advantage of that instead of while you trying to push forward and you can do it, they're going to say, you know what, we're going to take advantage of this and we're going to start promoting all these medications. And it quickly
Yeah.
becomes silent. And with everything you try to say and try to help, they've turned it over.
No, they actually did that with Adam Levine, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
there you go. So it's like I said, you gotta know how to do it,
No,
because
and I get it, and they're
you're gonna
coming from
ruffle
an
some feathers, but
yeah, and
fuck
they're
it.
coming from an era that you didn't talk about that shit because you
hmm
were going to get ostracized. You were going to get limited in your opportunities. I get that. And even Martin Luther King was depressed, severely depressed. He tried to take his life and he couldn't talk about that, not because there wasn't, he didn't believe that he needed the help in that, but he didn't want to dilute his cause because he knew they would come after him, and they still come after you today, but it's harder. They've got to be more tactful about it, and
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about is like when they can't instill that fear in you, you're dangerous. And that's what we need. Like life is so short. And if you don't stand up for, something important, it's really not like it's really not worth it hiding in the shadows.
100%. I agree with you 100%. So your book, what's the name of your book?
So yeah, it's a journal. It's called the self journal. I mean self discovery journal for ADHD, adults with ADHD. And it's basically like it gives you a bunch of little prompts, questions to ask deeper, about your trauma and emotional exploration, so you can find out more about yourself and like why certain things happen, or just notice little patterns. So you can
Boom,
get that. I'm actually offering that as a gift for you guys. That you can find that at youradhdguy.com.
boom. Go check it out. Dude, Ron, it's been an honor speaking with you, my brother.
Yeah,
Uh, the
you
door's
too.
always opens if you ever want to come back and chit chat. Just let me know, brother. Before we go, tell the people where they can find you at.
Yeah, you can find me at my podcast. Like it's the easiest way to find me. It's called Don't Mind Me. I just have ADHD. I've got numerous tips. I talk about like I'm actually doing a series on ADHD and trauma and how that starts out, like even before you were born, all the way to some of the topics that we talked about tonight. So yeah, you definitely want to check that out if you want to have a deeper understanding of like why you are the way you are.
Social media.
Yeah, you can find me on TikTok at ron.solo1 and on Facebook with Ron Souers. And yeah, you can. I'd definitely love to have you on my podcast too, man.
Definitely, definitely. Let me email me date and time, and we'll see what we can do. Also, follow them on Instagram. I follow you on Instagram, so make sure to follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
Book one more time. Where can they find the book?
Yeah, youradhdguy.com is the self-discovery journal for adults with ADHD.
Boom, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go support him, go get his book, go follow him, go check out his podcast, go educate yourself, which is the most important thing. We all have it.
Yes.
Some point or the other. Go support him, go follow him, right? And then go to YouTube, type in DIOTALK TV, like and subscribe our YouTube channel. Continue to share our content. Please support us. We have I think 11,000 so far. Please continue to support us so we can continue probably these amazing conversation with these amazing individuals like Ron here. And if it's that inspiring, uh, buy me a coffee. The link is on the description, guys. Have a good night. I'm out.